I want to welcome everyone to this session. I also want to appreciate the first speaker, Dr. China. So she has given a very strong foundation for us to ride on. So she said so much about awareness and all of that. So we're going to be relying on all of those. So Cybersecurity Awareness Month, like we all know, is See Yourself in Cyber. So I'm going to be sharing on social engineering with specific attention on phishing attack. So my name is Philip Bible. I'm the CISO for MPF Microfinance Bank PSC. Now, social engineering, like China said so much about cybersecurity awareness, what organizations need to do, the need for everyone to be cyber aware, see yourself in cyber. I know there is a very critical and important element in cybersecurity, and it's still the most strongest and also the weakest link in every institution. It has to do with the human aspect of it. And if you look at what social engineering is all about, social engineering has to rely on how you can heavily tweak human interaction. So social engineering is more like a vector that relies on human interaction, and it often involves manipulating people into breaking security procedures. Why? For the sole purpose of gaining access. And you know, cybersecurity or information security is centered around three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So in a social engineering attack, for example, you trick a user to click on a link or trick a user to open a malicious file or malicious program. It's targeted at three things: either to breach confidentiality, either to gain unauthorized access, or probably to disrupt the business process. So if you look at all of those aspects, so either confidentiality is affected, integrity or availability is affected for every cybersecurity related breach. And social engineering is becoming one of the soft spots for cyber attackers in every institution globally. So these are some of the tactics. For example, your friend just sent you a strange message, and of the social engineering tactics to watch out for: strange email, a strange phone call, or a sender can't prove their identity, or just get an email, an urgent transfer, get an email from someone you don't usually get an email from. These are some of the tricks or some of the tactics in social engineering, and there are different kinds of social engineering attack. So we are going to be focusing on one aspect today, which is phishing, because it's the most prominent and most popular aspect in terms of social engineering attack. And a lot of organizations have lost a lot of money as a result of social engineering attack. So before then, we'll just look at the history of social engineering. The first record of social engineering at play was the Trojan horse attack. And this was, we'll say a Trojan is like a horse. Within the horse, there are enemies inside. So all they just need to, with that horse, they're able to gain access to a particular place, seeing the horse as a legitimate user. So as soon as the horse gain access from there, what happens? The enemies within the horse, they come out and they attack that environment. So hacker Kevin Mitnick was one of those that helped popularize the concept of social engineering. And this whole concept started in the year 1990, where bad actors engineer social situation to trick. You can see there's something about to a trick, trying to manipulate human interaction, trying to manipulate the human mind. So the evolution of social engineering in cybersecurity has evolved ever since then over the years. And there's no arguing that Trojan horse story and Kevin Motorola exploit denote powerful examples of manipulation. Ever since then, it has been increasing, it has been evolving, and they have become different aspects of social engineering. Aside just the phishing, there are so many aspects, there are so many types of social engineering attack. So that will show you the evolution that have occurred within that space. But because social engineering attacks are often conducted on complex interconnected devices, it is harder to trace the breach. Some instance for the 90s and early 2000s. Meaning, for example, just imagine you get an email. Most times it's difficult to trace, but why? They are not coming from connected devices. You're coming from probably a strange email or an email that is not known or an anonymous email. And in some case, it could be a wrapped email just to mimic the email used within that organization. So these are some typical examples of social engineering attack. We have phishing, email, we have phishing. Phishing has to do with voice phishing. We have smishing, which is SMS phishing. We have pretexting, we have baiting, we have telegating, we have quid pro. There are so many. All of these things, they are all around, centered on three things: either to breach confidentiality, either to breach integrity, or to what disrupt service delivery and its availability. Now, other strong examples include honey trap, pretexting, scarware, and phishing. So these are some of the common attack vectors. And some of the things that lead to all of this could be as a result of poor encryption. It could also be as a result of ransomware, it could be misconfiguration, DOS attack, it could be vulnerability within the software, within uh, infrastructure, credential copy, weak password, malicious employee. All these are what the attack vectors used by social and what engineering. Now, our focus is on phishing. Like the name phishing is more like an attempt to steal money or your identity by getting you to reveal personal information. So like you can see in the image on the right hand side, on page 7, you could see the other guy at the other end. There is a hook, just like you want to catch a fish. There is a bait on that hook. So what happened? The fish is attracted to the bait on the hook. So thinking, oh, this is food, only for the fish to want to get a hold of the food. What happens? It's caught by the hook. That is how a phishing attack occurs. So tricking, trying to get hold of information. Just imagine you clicking a link. Clicking a link could lead to you what? Compromising all your login credentials for an organization. Clicking a link could lead to you introducing a malware into that organization. And when that happens, it starts moving with lateral movement within the network such that it starts gaining access to other aspects within the network and establish a connection with the external world by sending what sensitive information from that organization to the external world. So phishing, why is it called phishing? The word is a variant of phishing influenced by what freaking or allude to the use of increasingly sophisticated word layers to fish for users' sensitive information. Attempt to prevent or mitigate the impact of phishing incidents. These are various ways you can what, mitigate them through training, through policies and technical security measures. And these are some of the common features of a phishing uh, email or a phishing attack. For example, when you look at the construction of the mail, you see some unfamiliar greetings. For example, if I get an email from my boss, for example, I know how my boss used to greet. Just imagine I'm getting an email, he's not asking me some funny question. At that point, I should become conscious. So meaning, Dr. China said something about your consciousness. That is very key in cybersecurity. That consciousness, that instinct, you must always have it on at all times. Grammatical errors or misplaced words. Don't say, this is an error. No, those could be a kind of uh, ways to identify a phishing email. Email address and domain name do not match. The email address and domain name do not match. At times, when you do a mass rollover on the sender, you discover that the actual sender is different from what you are seeing in the inbox. So all those are ways used to identify that is the phishing attack. In some of the mail, is always addressed as urgent, act now, immediate, action required. All these are signs. Aside just some of the phishing that we mentioned, within the phishing, we also have top phishing attack. We have something like spear phishing, whale phishing, smishing, CEO fraud, business email compromise. All these are becoming very prominent. Because why? These are attack targeted at high network individuals within the organization. For example, you don't usually get an email from your MD. Suddenly, there's an email from your MD to say, "Oh, make a transfer or provide this information." It is advised For such kind of email, what do? You do what? Do a phone conversation to confirm if it's actually the one who sent that information before acting on that email. Things you and your employee may not know about social engineering. So these are some things about social engineering uh, individuals or employee may not know. Is this anyone is susceptible to social engineering attack? Anyone may be a cybersecurity expert. If you are not careful, you are not conscious, you could be a victim of social engineering attack. Social engineers do not go after one department or individual in an organization exclusively, making it difficult to know who become the next target. So they attack at random. For example, imagine you are just in your finance, suddenly you got an email from IT for you to click, or oh, say click on this to update your payroll record, or click on this, or got an email, please provide us your domain name and password for us to help you resolve an issue. Now, social engineers do meticulous research on your industry. Very, very true. They try to understand what are the various structure within the organization, who are the various users, who are the high risk users. Because why? These are the users, these are the individuals that uh, have sensitive information. And when they're able to get hold of their information, meaning they can have access to so many information within the organization. So they look at the brand, individual within the organization. So social engineer, they don't just pick up phones and start making random calls. No, they asking random questions. In fact, they are a little left up to chance when it comes to where deceived and orchestrated social engineering exploit. Meaning these bad actors, they do a whole lot of in-depth research, extensive research, and they come up with what strategies, so that when the email comes, if you are not careful, you will just fall prey. If I go to my could this be? Because why? The actual sender name could actually be the sender name within your organization, but just a word will make it different. For example, the sender in your organization is P uh, P Peters, right? The person sending is now using P Peter. So from that, just know that this particular sender is not the sender within my organization, or this is not the right user. So those are some of the little tricks they use. You might not notice an attempt or attack. These are things every individual, every employee within an organization don't know about social engineering. If someone say, I can easily know when there's an attack. You can at times you may not know. You may not notice. So in most hacking scenario, the bad actors do not want to be detected. Yes, they try to remove every footprint throughout the entire course of the exploit. This is because the longer they can sit within your system or notice, the more likely it is they gain deeper access to exploitable information. These are key aspects that every employee or individual can not know about social engineering. Now let's look at history. Let's look at some of the biggest social engineering attack in history and the costs. Like we all know, like Chinem talked about cybersecurity awareness. The cybersecurity industry, or the bad actors, is not just is more than just hacking. They now hack aside for fun. It's now becoming an industry. It's an industry. It's worth over billions of dollars. Many people invest in it. That's when you go about your daily activity. Someone is thinking of how to initiate a social engineering attack on an organization. So we have the likes of 2019 Toyota business email compromise scam, where over $37 million was lost. Large-scale businesses like Toyota see requests of this nature often, meaning something they've experienced over time. Then we also have the case of the 2020 Shark Tank Spearfish. The hacker took into the inbox of the Coco bookkeeper, spoofing the email address of a TV star and requesting over 288,000 US dollars to be wired to an Asia bank with an what attached invoice from a real estate renovation. You can see what happened here. There was a spoofing. So that when the email comes to the recipient, it looks like the actual email from a user within the organization. We also have the 2011 ROSA phishing scam. So these are some of the biggest in history. The other famous social engineering attack, we had the 2013 target data breach, we have the Sunny Picture attack, we had the United States presidential election. We all know what happened. The Yahoo customers accounts, the Twitter Bitcoin scam. All these are so many social engineering attacks that have occurred globally, and it's not ending. Even as we are talking, it's still occurring. Now, these are some tips on how to avoid social engineering scam, and these are very key and germane. When talking to your team, either as an individual or an organization, about threats, don't use a lot of jargons. Try to make it as simple as possible. Like China talked about security awareness. This is very important. There should be security awareness of social engineering, how to identify a phishing email, how to identify a social engineering attack, how users should respond to all of these attack if they notice any. Make it interesting, it should be fun. Meaning there are automated awareness platform. And what those platform does is to help you carry out simulated phishing attack, also carry out automated security awareness training, both in audio, video. All of this is to make it interactive and interesting, and it becomes fun for users to what learn more about cybersecurity and become aware of social engineering attack. Share real life example of social engineering in action. Like I just give example of some social engineering attack that have occurred globally. When they see these things, they go like, oh, this is real and it's actually happening globally. Stay on top of remote vulnerabilities. Invest in professional security awareness education and training platform. We talk about it. She also mentioned some, the likes of Know Before and so many other awareness platform. Send user security tips. This is very important. Tips like always think before you click on attachment, on links, download on updates. Tips like never disclose personal or company information that is not public knowledge unless a person has been confirmed. Tips like when in doubt, verify. There's something we always say, think before you what click. You should think. So don't just click. If you receive an email asking you to perform a questionable action from someone you know, contact the person via phone. This is very key. Not until you get a confirmation, don't go ahead and treat such request. Don't say, oh, it's from MD. He said I should do it now. It's an emergency. He's stranded at the airport. No. Most times I have a lot of those social media attack comes. I'm stranded at the airport. I need your attention. It's urgent. Look for secure URL that begins with HTTPS and be conscious when on HTTP. Like we all know, HTTPS means it's secured. HTTP means it's not secure. For example, if it's HTTP, if you need to make payments, for example, any site that is HTTP, you should not put your credit or sensitive information on such site. But why? The information being transmitted on such site is not what secure. The use of multi-factor is very key. For email, for all accounts, multi-factor is very key, which is multi-factor authentication, 2FA. Aside just username and password, there should be on that level of authentication. Why? This makes it difficult for hackers to gain access to sensitive information. They actively maintain antivirus software. Your software should be up to date, your firewall, your email filter, make routine update to patch vulnerability. All these are very, very key. And also, it's also very, very important that you must test your social engineering strengths. Carry out simulated phishing, carry out social engineering attack, send a phishing email to all staffs, all users, see how many will click that link, see how many will respond, see how many will open the email. That will let you know how vulnerable that institution is. Because why? Human are the strongest, at the same time, they are also the weakest link within every institution. Then, in conclusion, irrespective of the security solution or security architecture that have been put in place, the human are also very, very key. And if you look at social engineering attack, is targeted at what? Human, 100%. I will say that. So he's not looking at, yes, irrespective of what you put in place, if the human element fail, then that attack will be what successful. You say, was there no a firewall? There was a firewall. Was there no an email filter? There was an email filter. Was there no antivirus? There was an antivirus. But there's a human element. So social engineering is so dangerous because of the element of what? Human error. That's why awareness Awareness is key. Periodic testing is key, not necessarily a flaw in software or operating system. So it is important to know how, in what ways human beings are manipulated by social engineers to what accomplish their goal to effectively protect against this. Now, as the threat landscape continues to evolve, new tools, approaches are emerging regularly, but one thing remains constant: the human factor. So you can see, you cannot talk about social engineering without talking about the human factor. If there was a phishing link or there was a ransomware, probably a link that was sent, not until the human click on it, such attack will not take effect within that organization. So he's just looking for what, and he's just looking for what, he's just looking for someone to what to trigger that action. It's just like a bomb that has been prepared. All that is required just for someone to join both wires together. And once that happens, it becomes what explosive. That is exactly what happened in social media attack. But one thing remains constant: human factor. More than ever, cyber criminals rely on people. You can see again human to download, either to install, either to send form or information on their behalf. So they need an attack vector. The attack vector most times is the human element within that organization. As soon as you click on that link, what happens? A connection is established with a command center where information is being sent to that center. Social engineering is at the heart of most attacks today. It's at the heart of most attacks today. So if for example there is 10 attacks that occur, out of that 10, at least 6 or 7 is related to is social engineering. Either there's a phishing, either it's a business email compromise, either it's phishing, it must be is usually connected to social engineering attack. And for this kind of aspect, the best way of remedying it is awareness, training, sensitization, make users conscious, because there's no amount of solution you will put in place. The human element is still the most important element in cyber security. That's what we say in PPT, people, process, and technology. You may have very good process, you may have very good technology. If the people are not conscious, they don't know how to verify a social engineering attack or a phishing email, then it becomes very difficult for you to protect that organization. But if you have the human element very strong, even without all of those solutions fully in place, for example, if those email come, they're able to identify, they're ensuring that they don't click on such link. That organization is more secure than the organization who have everything in place without the human element being strengthened. So it can come through something as simple as a bogus invoice in a multi-million message malicious spam campaign. It may appear as a what intricate what fake. So social engineering is key.